supposed to be in a good mood. You're going to be president of World Oil tomorrow.
Ashley, I don't think you should be drinking.
For heaven's sakes, why not?
Because of the baby.
The baby?
Ashley, have you forgotten you're pregnant with my child?
No, of course I haven't forgotten.
I swear, girl, sometimes you act like you're not pregnant at all.
Well, how am I supposed to act?
Concerned?
Of course I'm concerned, but everything's fine. I just wish you'd stop worrying.
I just read an article about not drinking while you're pregnant.
Well, now, Justin, I don't think that one little glass of wine is going to hurt me or the baby. Probably won't even finish it anyway.
Well, we will have to be careful, right?
We will be careful.
Well, look who's here.
Good evening. Buster said we could have a table out here if it's all right. Thank you.
Never mind.
What?
We're not staying.
Where are we gonna go? Have you decided yet?
Not yet. But I'll tell you one thing. It ain't gonna be the Ritz. What's important is that we get out of here before Ruby turns us into the cops.
Or to Mr. Parnell.
Mr. Parnell, I'm sorry to bother you at a time like this.
Ruby, quite all right.
Hello, Jim.
When you called us before, you said you had something important to talk to us about.
I do. When I talked to you earlier today, I got the feeling you might be very interested in finding out where Joe Foster might be.
Yeah, he used to work for us.
I know that. That's why I came to you.
Well, what about?
I know where you can find Joe Foster.
Texas, starring Beverly McKinsey.
You know, we promised we wouldn't let Justin ruin our lives.
Ryan, anytime we try to go anywhere...
Listen, it's going to be impossible not to run into him from time to time. That is, unless we just stay in the house and don't go anywhere.
I know I shouldn't let him upset me so much.
That's right, then don't. Okay? You know what? We think we have a real good chance of delaying that meeting tomorrow. That is, if TJ can talk the board members into giving us more time.
Seems that Ashley and Justin are celebrating a little early.
Well, it's okay by me. Because once I prove my innocence, they're going to have a real hard time celebrating anything. I tell you what, let's just pretend they're not here, okay? Hey, wonder if TJ is going to meet us here anyway.
Well, from the sound of what he was saying before, he was probably driving all over Houston looking for chili, hamburger, and barbecue places.
I don't blame him. When I was traveling around, spending a lot of time out of the country, I craved hamburgers, too.
Well, he said he just arrived from Casablanca this afternoon, so he's got a lot of catching up to do.
Hey.
He must be an awfully hotshot lawyer for him to be Stryker's protege.
He is. When he was in law school at the University of Texas, he worked for Stryker during the summer, and real fast he became his law clerk, and then he became an associate.
So now he's over handling Stryker's business in foreign countries?
Mm-hmm. When Stryker decided to slow down a few years ago, he turned over the firm's legal affairs, foreign affairs, to TJ. Apparently TJ's been handling them real well.
He sure seems to love being a man of the world.
Well, being a man of the world has its advantages.
Would you like to go back to that kind of life?
Never. I just want to make you happy.
Do. time we were here, we were with Max and Rena.
I know.
That's Max's favorite song.
Let's dance this one from Max, okay?
Okay.
When did you discover that Elena was hiding Joe Foster?
This afternoon. They were a little late with Elena's paycheck, so I thought I'd do her a favor and drop it by myself.
And you saw Foster there?
I heard him through the door, and I thought I should come and tell you about it right away.
It's funny. We checked that apartment several times. There didn't seem to be anybody there.
That's because Elena is now living in Bobby Sue's apartment over the beauty parlor.
Bobby Sue?
Yeah, she's the girlfriend of Roy who works the bar at the Coop. Her beauty shop is just down the street from there.
Ruby, why did you come to us instead of going to the police?
Well, I thought about that, but since I work for Mr. Parnell and since I knew you were both interested in finding Foster, I decided I should come to you first.
Very smart, Ruby.
Of course, you and I had also talked about your backing a record of Ricky Decker's. And I was hoping that now that I've done you this little favor, we might talk about it some more.
And we will. We should have dinner sometime soon. I'm sure we can work something out that'd be satisfactory to both of us.
Well, I trust you and Mr. Parnell will take care of notifying the police.
Oh, of course.
Good. I'd hate to have a criminal like that running around loose. Well, I guess I better be going back to the Coop.
Well, thanks for coming by, Ruby. We'll talk later.
Isn't Ricky singing at the top of the world club tonight?
Oh, yes, he is, but Billy Joe needs me right now more than Ricky does. See, his wife just divorced him, and he needs a little consolation. Oh, I was just curious as to why you and Mr. Lawrence are so interested in Joe Foster.
Oh, well, Foster used to work for us, Ruby, and we have reason to believe that he stole some money from our company. And if the police get to him first, we may never be able to recover any of it.
I thought it was something like that. Well, good luck getting your money back.
Thanks, Ruby. See you. You think she knows too much?
You just leave Ruby right to me, Peter. You take care of Joe Foster.
What if Elena's there, too?
So much the better. Then you can take care of both of them.
Joe, I don't know what to do. I don't think I can leave these behind.
Elena, honey, we gotta travel light.
Yeah, I know, but it feels like I'm leaving my whole life behind me.
I know. Who's that?
This is Max when he was a baby.
I know what you're going through, but, we just gotta draw the line somewhere. Once we cross the border into Mexico, we're gonna have to hike with these bags.
Yeah, you're right.
I just hate getting you into this mess.
No, come on, Joe. I want to be with you. Look, it's all right. It really is.
No, it's not all right.
Joe.
Give me those. Look, this is my bag. I'll carry them.
I think that's it.
Yeah. Now, look, there's something we got to talk about before we go.
Okay, what?
I don't think you should go to the Coop tonight.
Joe, now come on. We've been through this already. I'm going to drive you to a motel. I'm going to go and do my show, and then I'm going to meet you there.
Elena, what if Ruby has told Parnell about me and Parnell is there?
I'll be careful. And if it looks like Mr. Parnell knows something, I'll call you at the motel. And don't worry, I won't lead him to you.
I'm not worried about me. I'm worried about you.
I don't think he's going to try anything on me.
Elena, the man is desperate. He wants his money. He killed Alex Wheeler.
Joe, he wouldn't try to do anything to me right there in the coop.
No. He'd wait till you left the Coop.
Well, Joe, I'll make sure that he's not following me.
I don't like it.
Look, I've got to go over to the Coop tonight. I got to tell Billy Joe this is my last show. Hey, look, I like the fact that you're worrying about me, but
I'm gonna be fine.
If anything happened to you,
It won't, okay? Now stop worrying. I'm gonna be all right. Okay, I think that's it. We better go. If we forgot something, I don't know. We'll get it in Mexico or something.
Oh, I did forget something.
It's Bernie Bear. Where did you find him?
Oh, he was just sitting on the bed, wondering why you'd forgotten about him.
Oh, Joe.
You gave him to me for good luck, remember?
Yes, I remember. Are we gonna have room for him?
Well, I'll tell you. I'm still alive and kicking, so the good luck must have worked pretty good. I don't really see how we can afford to leave him.
I love you, Joe.
I love you, too.
And I think that should do it. Thank you very much. Well, now, are you hungry?
Oh, yes, I am.
Good. I think you should eat very well during a pregnancy.
Yes, Justin.
Actually, I've been thinking, I think that we should start interviewing people.
What for?
Well, we need a maid, and we're going to need a nurse when the baby comes.
Justin, the baby's not going to be born for a long time.
I know, we have to make preparations. I don't want Grandma having to do all the work out there at the ranch.
Well, now, she has that lady that comes in twice a week.
That's not enough. I think we're going to have a cook and perhaps a butler in addition to the maid.
A butler? Your grandmother is going to throw a fit, Justin. Now, you know she's going to hate having strange people in her house doing the things that she likes to do.
Well, she's just going to have to adjust to certain changes around the ranch. After all, when I'm head of the company, we're going to be entertaining a lot, and we're going to need help.
Let's wait till after the board meeting. We'll talk to your grandmother and see what she thinks then, okay?
Okay. You think I'm moving too fast, I guess?
Maybe.
Well, I don't think so. And I don't think Margaret Hanson would think so either.
Television's own.
KVIK star reporter.
Mm-hmm. What does she have to do with it?
Well, obviously, she thinks I'm going to be a big shot. She wants to interview me.
Why you? Sorry, I mean there are other big shots in Texas.
Well, she's doing a special on young executives. She wants to include me because I will be president of World Oil.
Ah. But I bet that the young executives' wives won't be included.
My wife will be included. I told Margaret about that.
Well, now, did you just do that because you think that I'm the reason that you've gotten as far as you have?
That's true, isn't it? How about a dance?
Well, I have to check my dance card.
I'm signed up for every one of them.
And I'm gonna have a baked potato with that steak. Okay, do you want anything else?
Now we have to talk to Kate about the wedding.
Do you seriously think that Justin really will let us have the wedding at the ranch?
Kate said she'd take care of it.
It's important to you now, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. It's especially important to Steve. He feels very comfortable out there, and I want him to be included in our wedding plans.
I think we better find out about Justin before we invite anyone, okay?
There's TJ with that girl.
What girl?
The one that was at the top of the World Bar.
She met another man over there.
Now she's with TJ. So much for all that talk about chili. Hello there.
Hi.
Hi. Glad you could come there, TJ.
Well, I thought I'd give the place a chance. Did you two meet Cassie earlier?
No, we
No.
didn't.
Oh, well, Cassie, this is Jenny Marshall and Ryan Connor. Cassie Rhodes.
Nice to meet you.
We'll have scotch and water and plain tonic with lime. Plain tonic, please. Well, Jenny, you were right. This boathouse is really a great place.
Actually, there's a gentleman at Ginny and Ryan's table who's staring at my wife.
How you feeling, Billy Joe?
I'll live.
Have a beer with me.
I don't want a beer.
You know, you can't let this divorce thing get you down. Think of all the great things you got going for you.
Yeah, sure.
I mean it. You're making more money than you ever have before. Look how great you're doing on the Phil Roberts show. You know what Ben said to me the other day?
What?
He said the response to you was so good that they're thinking about giving you a new part on the show. You know, making you sort of a co-host.
That's great.
It is great. And I think you should be real proud. You got a lot of things to be proud about, Billy Joe. Well, look what you've done for the Coop. It's real successful now. You've done a terrific job.
Yeah, terrific.
I don't think that's a very good attitude, Billy Joe.
Ruby, I'd give it all up right now if I could get Nita back.
You don't mean that.
Yes, I do.
You know, the more I think about it, the more I think Nita really wasn't the right girl for you. For an up-and-coming TV personality, she just wasn't the right kind of wife.
Give it a rest, will you, Ruby?
No, I won't. I think you're acting like a little kid who's had his candy taken away from him. You are an important man, Billy Joe. It's about time you realized that and started acting important.
I don't feel important.
Go back to Waco, honey. Take a walk down the street and see all the heads turn. Then you'd feel pretty important. We come a long way up the ladder, you and me.
That judge this afternoon in the courtroom just knocked me right back down again, in case you're interested.
Nita's not the only girl in the world, Billy Joe. You remember those two girls outside the KVIK station waiting for your autograph? Well, in a month, there's going to be 100 girls out there. You can have your pick out of any one of them.
You just don't understand, do you, Ruby? I love Nita. Nita's the only girl I ever loved. Those 3 years I was in Huntsville, she waited for me.
So?
That's because she loved me, Ruby. I don't want 100 girls. I just want Nita.
She'd only hold you back, darling. Look at her. Her father ran a filling station in Waco, and she'd be just as happy if you ran one, too. That's what Nita has, a filling station mentality. Now, is that what you're looking for in a wife?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm looking for. Look, if it's all right with you, I just do not talk about it. What time's Elena going to get here anyway? She's supposed to be here by now.
I don't know. I saw her a little earlier, and she was acting kind of strange. I hope she shows.
Well, she better show.
I wouldn't count on it.
What are you talking about? Here she comes now.
Ashley,
Yes?
how do you know T.J. Canfield?
I went to school with him.
College?
No, graduate school, actually. He was just finishing up law school when I met him.
Did you date him?
No. I dated a fraternity brother of his, though. That's how I met him.
Oh. Wonder what he's doing here.
Justin, there was never anything between me and TJ.
He might mean trouble. He's an associate in Stryker's law firm. He's been out of the country for most of the past 2 years. I guess he's handling Stryker's foreign deals now.
Oh, you know him?
I know of him. He used to handle a lot of my dad's business. Stryker was also my dad's lawyer, you know.
Yes, I know. Is TJ a good lawyer?
He's one of the best. I don't think it's a coincidence that he's in Houston right now.
You think that his being here has something to do with the board meeting tomorrow?
I think he's here to vote Stryker's proxy for him and cause a little trouble.
Well, now, what kind of trouble could he possibly cause?
I don't know. But Stryker didn't bring him all the way back to Houston for nothing.
TJ, where do you know Ashley?
I met her when I was in law school.
Did you go together?
Oh, I wouldn't say that.
Well, what would you say?
Well, we went out once together. She was in graduate school, business, I think. How long have she and Justin been married?
They got married last week.
Mm-hmm. I think I'll go and say hello. Excuse me.
Don't be too long.
I'll be right back. Hello, Ashley Linden.
TJ.
Ashley Lyndon Marshall. Hello, I'm Justin
my
Marshall.
husband.
T.J. Canfield. Nice to meet you.
Happy to meet you.
Oh, TJ, it's been a long time.
And you're more beautiful than I remember. I heard you two just got married. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
TJ, sit down. See if you can find a chair.
Okay.
Come on over.
Yes, sit down.
It's good to see you again, Ashley.
Oh, it's nice to see you again, too. How have you been doing?
Fine. Certainly don't have to ask how you are. You look fantastic.
And you haven't changed a bit, TJ.
You know, I used to work with your daddy.
You did?
He was one fine man.
Yes, he was.
Yeah, how's your grandmother, Kate, doing?
She's doing fine. Ashley and I are staying with her out at the ranch now.
I look forward to seeing her again.
Yeah. What are you doing back in Houston? I heard you were in Casablanca.
I'm here to represent Stryker Bellman at the World Oil Board of Directors meeting.
You came all the way back to Houston to vote Stryker's proxy for him. Well, that won't take long, and then you can get right back to Casablanca.
But don't count on it.
Elena, I can't let you start so early tonight. I'm surprised you even asked me.
You have to.
Why do I have to?
Because you just do.
Now, that's no answer. Now, you saw the other room there. Half our customers aren't even here yet.
Billy Joe.
What?
Look, Wang is having a fit back in the kitchen.
Oh, not Wang again.
Well, you better go calm him down. You're the only one he seems to listen to.
All right, now just don't do anything until I get back, all right?
What's wrong, Ruby? Nothing.
Well, I think I'll go in the back room and see if Andy and the band are ready.
How's Joe?
It's fine.
You sure?
Ruby, what are you talking about?
You were going to double-cross me, weren't you?
I don't know what you mean, Ruby.
That check from your Aunt Maggie. That was for you and Joe to leave town, wasn't it?
I told you that was to buy some new furniture.
$10,000 worth? That would buy you an awful lot of new furniture, Elena. It also could get you pretty far away.
I have a lot of things to buy.
Well, that may have been what you told your Aunt Maggie, but I'm not as gullible as she is.
Tell Billy Joe I'm in the back room.
Why are Pete Parnell and Jim Lawrence so interested in finding Joe?
I don't know. Why do you ask?
Because they're paying him a little visit this very moment. I told them where he is.
I wonder what TJ's up to anyway.
I don't know. But I do know he better come back to this table soon, or Cassie's going to take a taxi home.
She may be gone already. She's been gone a long time.
Yes, she has. This has been rather a strange evening, hasn't it?
Well, I'm having a real good time.
What do you think of TJ?
I'm not sure. Stryker says he's a hell of a lawyer, so coming from him, that's quite a compliment.
I had a feeling that Vicky didn't approve of him very much.
Yeah, at the top of the World Club, I had the same feeling. Doesn't seem to bother TJ at all, though, doesn't it?
Nothing seems to bother TJ. Not even Justin.
TJ, I told Justin a little white lie about you.
Oh, what was that?
I told him I'd never dated you.
Well, that's pretty close to the truth, Ashley. As I recall, you dated me once and wouldn't go out with me again after that.
You've got a good memory.
Well, for some things. You know, I never did figure out why you wouldn't go out with me after that first time.
Oh, well, you moved a little bit too fast for me, TJ.
Well, I've slowed down a little since then.
Oh, I bet.
Are you happy?
Being married to Justin? Yes, I'm very happy.
Even though he's a crook?
TJ's not a crook. I mean, you're only hearing one side of this argument. You're hearing Ryan's side. He's the crook.
The Stryker doesn't think so.
Well, Stryker's wrong.
I remember you always being ambitious.
Yes, and I always remember that you never liked it. Tell me something, TJ. Do you still think that a woman's place is in the home?
And taking care of the kids.
Oh, how can you live all over the world and still have those good old boy values?
Well, I suppose you and Justin won't be starting a family anytime soon.
We might. I can handle a family and a career, too.
Well, I hope Justin has another job lined up for himself.
Well, haven't you heard? He's going to be president of World Oil after tomorrow.
You'd really like that, wouldn't you?
You bet.
Well, too bad you're going to be disappointed.
Are you trying to tell me that, that Ryan has some way of getting the board to not vote him out of office?
Well, we're going to do our best.
Sorry, TJ. You'll lose.
We're smart and we're honest, Ashley. That's always a winning combination.
Where did you tell Mr. Parnell where Joe was? That apartment over Bobby Sue's beauty parlor. How could you do that, Ruby? What did you have to gain? You were running out on me. What did you expect me to do? But now it looks like you're going to be leaving Houston all by yourself, if you go at all. Well, I guess I'm going to go back in the other room and wait for the show to start. It ought to be real interesting.
I don't know what I'm going to do about Wang. Somebody sends back a hamburger just because they don't like the way it's cooked, and he hits the roof. You think he was some famous French chef or something?
Billy Joe, we got to start that show right now.
Pete, how'd it go?
It didn't. Foster wasn't there.
What do you mean he wasn't there?
I mean, he wasn't there. What do you think I mean? Neither was Elena.
Did you get inside?
Yeah, I jimmied the lock and went inside, but the place was empty.
So Ruby lied to us.
No, they'd been there. Left a few things behind. But they'd gone. Guess they found out we were on to them.
Now, go easy on that stuff, Peter. You still got a job to do.
Well, you go easy yourself. All you have to do is stand there giving orders. I mean, you're clean. I dealt with Foster directly. I'm the one that they're going to trace the drug operation back to.
Look, will you calm down? Now, look, I think we can still find Joe Foster.
I think you're wrong. He's probably halfway to South America.
Maybe, maybe not. In any case, there's one way to find out.
Yeah, what's that?
Elaine is scheduled to sing tonight at the Coop, isn't she?
Yeah. What are you doing?
Calling the Coop.
Well, did you have a good time dancing with TJ?
For heaven's sakes, Just. I was just trying to find out if he and Ryan had any new information. What's the matter with you?
Nothing. I guess I'm just tired.
Well, there's no reason for you to be angry with TJ.
It's just his being in town before the board meeting tomorrow. I think Stryker Bellman has figured out a way to delay the vote.
I don't think that's true.
You think TJ would have told you if there had been any new information, Ashley?
Justin, I could tell from speaking to him that there was nothing new.
All they have to do is convince the board of directors to keep Ryan in office long enough for him to uncover new evidence. That's it for me at World Oil.
I really think that you're making too big of a deal out of TJ being here, Justin.
Waiter, pay our bill and keep the change. Let's get out of here, Ashley.
Fine.
Looks like there's trouble in paradise.
Well, TJ must have had some effect on Justin, huh?
Must have been. He and Ashley went out here so fast.
I think TJ should come around here more often.
He is quite a charmer, isn't he?
Did he charm you?
A little bit.
Maybe I'm not so happy he's in Houston after all.
Honey, you have nothing to worry about.
I don't, huh?
If you don't know by now that you're the only man in the world for me.
I do know that. That's what's got me through this whole mess. And I know that whatever happens at the company, I'm gonna have you.
And no matter what happens, we're going to be married.
That's right.
As soon as Rena gets back from Venezuela.
State. I love you.
I love you too.
You think Vicky will mind if you stay at my place tonight?
No, I don't think Vicky will mind at all.
Hello, Roy. It's Pete Parnell. Listen, is Elena there? She has? When did she start? No, Roy, no message. Listen, as a matter of fact, Roy, would you mind not mentioning the fact that I called at all? Okay, thanks, Roy. I'll be talking to you.
She's there?
Yeah, Roy says she started singing about 5 minutes ago.
A little early, isn't it?
That's what makes me think something's up.
You better get right down there. Pete.
Yeah?
You forgot something. Now, don't try anything foolish. Just wait till she leaves, then follow her.
Right.
We want her and Joe Foster.
It's all over town, that it's all over now. Everyone's saying it's true. They say you have left me and broken your vow. Tell me, what am I to do? Right from the start, you took my
I'll tell you, Lena's singing real pretty tonight.
Yeah, she sounds good.
You notice she's got Bernie Bear with her?
Yeah, I noticed. She hasn't done that in a long time. Not since that last night that Foster kidnapped her. Well, hey, shouldn't you be at the top of the World Club with Ricky?
I just talked to him. He's about to go on.
Well, yeah, well, shouldn't you be there?
He'll be fine. It's my big brother that I'm worried about.
Your big brother will be fine.
You don't look it. Something's bothering you, isn't it?
You know what's bothering me, Ruby?
No, it's something more than the divorce. It's Elena, isn't it? I noticed it too. She's acting real strange.
Yeah, she is. I just hope she doesn't go flaky on me again.
Me too.
Justin, what's wrong?
Nothing. I just can't get sleep.
Sweetheart, tell me what's wrong.
It's nothing.
If you're still upset about TJ, forget about it. We were just friends in college.
I know that, Ashley.
Well, then why are you upset?
I'm worried about the board meeting.
Oh, sweetheart. Nothing can go wrong. You have to believe that.
I'm scared, Ashley. My whole world depends on that board meeting. It's my one chance for everything I've ever wanted in this world. I'm afraid. I'm afraid I won't make it.
No. You have Mrs. Wheeler and Dennis on your side. You can't lose.
I wish I could be as sure as you.
You know that Ryan doesn't have any new evidence to introduce at that meeting. They're going to vote him out. You're going to be the president of World Oil. And then you're going to be in control.
I think TJ and Stryker are up to something.
What could they possibly do, Justin? Unless they came up with Mr. Johnson. And you know they haven't found him.
I don't like the idea of TJ coming all the way from Casablanca.
Sweetheart, why do you think that Stryker Bellman had him come? He wanted to shake your confidence. He wanted to make you think that they could stop you. Well, they can't. You hold all the cards. You can't lose.
If I do, I lose everything.
You still have me. And the baby.
I'm doing everything for the baby. And you.
I'm never going to start the show really like this again, Elena. I mean, it's bad for business. I mean, I already got 2 complaints from customers who came in here just in time to catch the end of your show. They came all the way to hear you.
Billy Joe.
What?
Can I just talk to you for a minute?
What
alone?
about, darling? I'm in a hurry here.
It's important. I'll have to talk to him first, Elena, if you don't mind. It's about our drummer.
Now what's wrong?
He's threatening to quit. He wants more money.
He's already making as much as Andy is.
I know that's what I said, but I guess we better talk to him.
All right, I'll be right back, Elena.
Joe?
Elena.
Yeah. Is everything all right?
Yeah, everything's fine. Did you tell Billy Joe this is going to be your last night?
Well, I wanted to until Ruby dragged him off to tell him something.
Is she hanging around there?
Yes. And you were right about her, Joe. She told Parnell about you.
How do you know?
Because she told me so herself.
Oh, man.
You were right about going to that motel. For all we know, Peter Parnell is over at Bobby Sue's apartment right now.
She told Parnell that we were staying there?
Yes.
Elena, I want you to get out of there as fast as you can.
Okay, I will. As soon as I finish talking to Billy Joe, I'll come by the motel. Joe, Pete Parnell just came in.
Well, hello, Miss Parnell.
How's the show over?
About 5 minutes ago.
Where's Elena?
Oh, she's right back there.
Where is she?
Well, she was right there a minute ago.
Oh, she wouldn't have just left like this. She had something real important to talk to me about. Oh, Mr. Parnell, what? What do you suppose that was all about?
Beats me.
Hauled her to the underpass by the freeway, and then I lost her.
What do you mean you lost her?
I mean, she disappeared, like into thin air.
I'm warning you, Peter. If those two
Listen,
get
you
away...
don't have to warn me, Jim. I mean, I want to get my hands on Joe Foster as much as you do. Half that $1 million is mine, in case you forgot.
Not the money that worries me. It's the fact that Foster knows you murdered Alex Wheeler, and that ties us right into the investigation that Ryan Connor's doing.
How you feel?
I'm all right.
You must be exhausted.
Yeah, I am. You know, when I saw Pete Parnell's car in that rearview mirror, I thought that it was just all over.
I don't know where you got that idea from. To hide under the underpass.
I saw it in a movie once.
You're trickier than I thought. I'm gonna have to keep my eye on you.
Right now, I don't feel very tricky.
Well, coming down the home stretch. Tomorrow night, this time, we're gonna be in Mexico.
Yeah.
You sure you want to go through with this?
Yeah, of course I do.
You're not going to see your family and friends for a long time.
I guess you're going to be my family from now on, Joe.
You mean that?
It's true. You know, tomorrow I'm going to go out and buy a book on Spanish.
Spanish?
Yes, for Mexico. You know, I studied it in school, but I don't really remember more than 2 words.
My Spanish is pretty good.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, a lot of people spoke Spanish where I grew up. Te amo.
How did you know? Those are the 2 words I know.
I do, you know.
I love you too, Joe. More than I can say.
Tomorrow's our big day.
Yes, I am going to go see Ryan Connor first thing in the morning and set up a meeting for you.
Good. Once we do that, we're free.
So what do we do now, Jim?
Nothing much we can do until we find out where Joe Foster is. In the meantime, I think I better pay Ryan Connor a little visit first thing in the morning. Find out how that investigation of his is going.
Join us each weekday at this time for the continuing story of Texas.
Dennis told me last night about Ryan's tricking him, telling him he'd found Mr. Johnson when it wasn't true.
Well, even if Ryan had found Mr. Johnson, it wouldn't make much difference.
You're sure of that?
Absolutely. Johnson's statement is the truth. I'm convinced that Johnson will stand by it.
I certainly hope you're right.
Ryan is a desperate man now. I'm sure he's very worried.
Does T.J. Canfield's presence disturb you at all?
No. Not really.
You know, Stryker Bellman is famous for his legal maneuvering. Do you think there's any way he can delay the vote at the meeting today?
Not that I know of, Iris, but I've contacted one of my friends in the legal department. He's going to check it all out for me.
Well, I just hope that meeting doesn't end up dragging on for half the afternoon. I want to get it over with and get Ryan out of there.
I don't think it'll last long at all.
Ashley, are you going to the meeting?
Oh, yes, I am. I'm going to be acting secretary.
Good.
Well, I think I'd better get back to the office. Are you ready, honey?
Why don't you go ahead? I'll bring Ashley with me.
All right. I'll see you later. Iris?
Bye, sir.
Bye, darling.
Darling, are you upset about something?
Yes. T.J. Canfield.
Hi, TJ. Come on in.
I got a message that Vicky wanted to see me.
She should be down any minute.
Okay, good. Oh, listen, I want to thank you again for inviting me to the boathouse last night. Had a wonderful time.
Brian and I enjoyed it, too. If you'll excuse me, though, I promised I'd go to the office to meet him,
Sure.
so Vicky should be down any second. Go
Okay.
ahead and make yourself at home.
All right. Bye-bye.
Good morning, TJ.
Hi, Vicky.
Have you talked to Stryker this morning?
Yes. Why?
Because he called here at 6 a.m. looking for you. He called the hotel and you weren't there.
Well, I spent the night with a friend. I left the number with a hotel operator, and I talked to Stryker. Everything's fine, so stop worrying.
4 years ago, you missed a very important meeting because you took off to Acapulco with one of your girlfriends.
I was tricked into believing that that meeting had been canceled. Anyway, that was 4 years ago, and I haven't made that same mistake again.
I'm sorry, TJ, but I'm concerned about Ryan.
I know. I am too, and I'll do everything I can to help Ryan. Is that Rena?
Yes, it is.
Beautiful.
Hi, Elena.
I'm sorry I didn't call before I came by.
Well, that's all right. My secretary told me it was important.
It is important.
What is it?
I know that you worked very closely with Alex Wheeler before he died. And I read in the papers that he left you 1/3 of World Oil in his will.
Alex was my uncle.
I know. That's why I came to see you.
About what?
Alex Wheeler didn't die. He was murdered. And I know who murdered him.
Texas, starring Beverly McKenzie.
Why are you so concerned about T.J. Canfield?
Well, I knew him in school.
Did you?
Yes. As a matter of fact, I even went out with him once. And then he was dating a good friend of mine, so I got to see him a lot.
Does Justin know about this?
Oh, no. No, he knows that I knew him, but he doesn't know that I went out with him. But that's not the point.
What is the point?
Well, it's just that, I know a lot about TJ. He's charming. He's very clever. Mrs. Wheeler, I am really afraid that he's going to do something to hurt Justin in that board meeting today.
What could he possibly do?
I don't know. I just have a very strong feeling that he is up to something.
Justin seems to be very confident.
Oh, he is now. After I stayed up half the night trying to convince him that he had nothing to worry about.
I don't think he does. So just calm down.
Justin's whole future depends on this meeting today. And mine, too.
You and Justin have a wonderful future ahead of you.
If he becomes president of World Oil, and if I give him a son.
Well, I can do something about making him president, but the rest is up to you.
Yeah, I know.
Darling, something else is bothering you. What is it?
When was that portrait done?
About several years ago.
She's stunning.
Would you like some coffee, TJ?
No, thank you. Vicky, how long are you going to hold that mistake against me? Forever?
Of course not. And I'm sorry I mentioned it.
You know, I got that affiliate TV station for you. You ought to at least give me credit for that.
Oh, I do.
But you really won't learn to trust me until I have a house full of kids and dogs and a barbecue pit in the backyard.
I take it that's not on your immediate agenda.
No, not this week.
All right, TJ. I promise you I will try not to mention it again.
Good. You know, Justin and Ashley were at the boathouse last night.
Yes, Ginny told me.
Did she also tell you that I went to school with Ashley?
Yes, she did. And she thinks you upset Justin by dancing with Ashley.
Good. That was my intention. I think the more we can keep Justin off guard, the better.
Tell me, TJ, do you really believe that you can convince the board members to delay their vote so Ryan has time to uncover his evidence?
Yes, I think there's a possibility. Especially if Iris Wheeler becomes emotional and starts accusing Ryan of murdering her husband.
Iris is a very cool lady, TJ.
So I understand. But if she's hell-bent on vengeance, and it looks like she might not get it, she might lose her cool pretty quickly. That's when we'll appeal to the board's common sense and fair play.
You're telling me that your friend has proof that Pete Parnell killed Alex, right?
Yes,
Then why don't you go to the police with this information?
because I can't go to the police.
And you realize now that I have to go to the police, right?
No, you can't do that.
Elena, who's this friend of yours?
I can't tell you.
And why is it so important that I don't go to the police?
Look, you'll understand everything once we set up this meeting for this afternoon, but until then, you gotta promise me that you're not gonna tell anybody about this.
No, I can't promise that.
But you got to. Otherwise, I don't know if I can set things up.
Okay. Exactly what is it you're trying to arrange?
Well, my friend and I, we want to set up this meeting with Pete Parnell. You see, my friend has something that Mr. Parnell wants very badly.
I think I see.
Look, I'll call you this afternoon and I'll tell you exactly when and where this meeting is going to take place. And we're going to do it someplace out in the open so that Mr. Parnell can't do anything to us.
What role do you want me to play?
Well, we wanted you to come there early and hide someplace nearby. So you could see what's happening and you could be kind of like a witness. Well, you see, I bought this tape recorder and my friend is going to try and get Mr. Parnell to talk about Alex Wheeler, and that way I could get everything on tape.
I don't like it. It sounds dangerous. If Parnell really did kill Alex, he's not the sort of person to fool around with. You understand?
I know. That's why we're setting up this meeting in a public place so he can't do anything to us. Look, as long as he doesn't know that we're trapping him, we're safe.
Ruby says, as far as she knows, Billy Joe Wright hasn't heard from Elena since last night.
She's quite sure about that?
Well, she's going to check with him and she'll get back to us.
In the meantime, I better pay Ryan Connor a surprise visit. See if he's come up with any new information.
If you tell me what's bothering you, perhaps I can help.
Ooh, you're not gonna like it.
Try me.
I think that Ryan Connor is innocent.
Ashley.
Mrs. Wheeler, I'm sorry. I can't help the way I feel.
Ryan is not innocent. He killed Alex because he knew he was going to turn over World Oil to Dennis, and Ryan couldn't bear the thought of losing all that money and power. He's ruthless.
Mrs.
He'll stop
Wheeler,
at nothing.
Mrs. Wheeler.
Now, Alex knew that Ryan was misappropriating company funds. Justin has given me a statement from Mr. Johnson saying that Ryan killed the investigation and forced him to leave the company. Now, what more proof could you want? Well, now, Ashley, I know you love Justin.
Of course I do.
Well, then why are you in such conflict over Ryan? Darling, you should be supporting your husband.
I do support him.
Oh, not wholeheartedly.
Of course I do.
No, not if you have reservations about Ryan.
I just don't think he's capable of doing those things.
Darling, all of us are capable of doing those things. All of us.
Ryan?
Oh, hello, Grant.
Well, I talked with Dennis this morning. I tried to convince him to support you, but he will not change his mind.
Thanks for trying.
Suppose we tell Iris our theory about Parnell killing Alex.
No.
Now, wait a minute. If she knows that he's been misappropriating company funds, and if she knows that there's a possibility that he might have been with Alex at the time of his first stroke, I'm sure that she would agree that he's the logical suspect.
Grant, I think I found a way to get enough evidence to nail Parnell.
How?
I got a phone call this morning. Now, someone's going to arrange a meeting with Parnell, try to get him to talk about Alex's death.
Who?
I can't tell you.
Was it the private investigator?
No.
Well, then who was it? Come on, man, who was it?
I'm sorry, Grant, I cannot tell you.
Now, Ryan, you and I have been exchanging information all along.
Look, this has nothing to do with trust. Now, I made a promise. If I don't keep it, I'm not going to get the information. It's as simple as that.
When is this meeting going to take place?
It's being set up now. I'm not sure how soon. Look, do you think you can find a way to delay Iris's arrival at the board meeting?
I don't know. I can try, but I can't promise anything. She's rarely late anywhere, and I'm sure this is one meeting where she's going to want to be on time.
Well, try your best, all right?
Of course I will.
Hey, Grant. It's just a meeting, so don't worry, okay?
Take care of yourself.
Thank you.
Hi, Grant.
Jenny?
Hi, honey.
Hi.
What's wrong?
Nothing. Everything's fine.
Did you talk to Ryan Connor?
Yes, he agreed to the meeting.
You sure you can trust this guy?
Well, he promised he wouldn't say anything. He wanted to go to the police, but I convinced him that he couldn't.
I don't like it, Elena. It makes me nervous.
What makes you nervous?
For all we know, this guy could be in cahoots with Parnell.
No, I don't think so.
But you can't be sure.
Well, look, we have no choice, Joe. We gotta trust him.
Elena, you're the only person I trust right now.
Well, then trust me. It's all gonna work out all right.
I trust you. But I'm telling you, I'm not going to have one moment's worth of peace until we get across that border into Mexico.
Oh, wait, did you call your friends and make those arrangements?
Yes, I did. Did you deposit that check?
Yes.
Okay, because we're going to need that money once we turn in that drug money.
I think we should call Parnell right now. You want me to do it?
No. I will.
Well, hello, Counselor. Hey, Justin. Are you preparing your defense for Mr. Connor?
No, just finishing up some paperwork on a deal I put together in Cairo.
Well, you do get around, don't you?
As I recall, you used to do a little traveling yourself. I saw you race in Italy once.
Did I win?
As a matter of fact, I think you did.
Good. My racing days are over now, though.
Oh, I don't know. You might want to take it up again after today's meeting.
I doubt it.
Will Ashley be here? Someone said she might be taking the minutes.
Yes, she's going to be here with Iris Wheeler. They're good friends.
I'm looking forward to meeting the legendary Mrs. Wheeler.
Well, you won't be disappointed.
Yeah, I knew Alex Wheeler fairly well. She must be some kind of lady if he married her.
She is.
And you must be some kind of con artist. Well, that was no mean feat, getting Iris Wheeler to support your bid for the presidency.
My being president is entirely her idea.
I know what you're up to, Justin. You played on her grief, then coerced old man Johnson into giving you some false statement about Ryan Connor's supposed misappropriation of world oil funds.
If you can prove that, you'd be my guest. But I advise you not to mention that to the other board members. They tend to deal in facts and figures, not emotional outbursts.
Well, thank you. I'll remember that.
You don't want to tell me what Grant was so upset about.
Well, he's upset about not getting any evidence in time for the meeting today. Hello? Look, could you call me back tomorrow? Thank you.
Honey, Becky's sitting right out there. Why don't you let her answer your calls for you?
I'm expecting an important call.
From the private investigator?
Yeah.
You know, TJ came by Vicky's house this morning. He seemed like he was very optimistic.
Well, I'm optimistic, too.
Are you really?
Yeah, I really am. Glad you came by today. Sure missed you.
I missed you. I love you.
I love you. I tell you what. Since Rena is going to be our maid of honor, why don't you call her in Venezuela tonight, have her come right back up here to Houston, and we'll have ourselves a wedding.
Oh, all right, I'll do that. It's going to be kind of sad, though, having a wedding without Max there.
Yeah, it sure is. But we have to get on with our lives, right? So, Max wouldn't want it any other way, I don't think.
No, you're right. Just that it's so hard sometimes.
Just wish Rena would pick up the pieces and be able to start her life again without Max. She's got this obsession about getting revenge on Justin. I wish she'd just forget it. It's going to destroy her.
Well, Rena's convinced that Justin destroyed Max. You know the way she is when she gets an idea in her head. It's almost impossible to talk her out of it.
Well, when I clear myself and get Justin out of World Oil, maybe then she'll be satisfied.
I hope so.
Wait, what are you going to tell Mr. Parnell?
Well, I'm going to tell him we're willing to make a deal. We'll give him the money back if he helps us get away. Provides us with, say, tickets, passports, whatever. That way he won't think there's anything wrong.
You think it'll work?
Yeah. He'll think it's a fair exchange. He gets something, we get something.
I'm not convinced he's going to go for it, Joe.
Yeah, you're forgetting something, though.
What?
We both know he killed Alex Wheeler. And he's got to want us out of the country as much as we want to go.
All right, when are you going to set up this meeting for?
3 hours? That gives us enough time to call Ryan Connor, tell him that Parnell swallowed the bait.
But isn't that making it late?
No, we can use the time. We got to finish packing. We got to be ready to leave town as soon as we hand that tape over to Connor.
Hmm. Where are you going to tell Parnell to meet us?
The zoo. I figure a place like that, Parnell won't even think of trying something.
Yeah, but aren't you taking a chance? What happens if somebody recognizes you there?
It's just a risk I'm going to have to take. Besides, we'll be there around closing time, so I don't think there'll be too many people there.
I hope you're right.
Okay. Where's Parnell's number?
Ryan, you're not going to jail. Grant thinks Mr. Johnson will tell someone you're innocent.
Yeah, he's willing to tell Iris, and what good's that going to do me?
Iris wouldn't cover that up.
Come on, you really think Iris is going to tell anyone? There's not a chance.
The private investigator will find him and tell you and Grant and anyone else who wants to know, including Iris.
Jenny.
I'm going to marry you no matter what happens. So why not tomorrow?
I want our wedding to be a happy occasion. And I want to take you on a honeymoon that you can enjoy. I just don't want us worrying about whether or not I'm going to be going to prison.
Stop saying that.
And what about Steve? He's had a hard enough time accepting our marriage.
Steve's accepting our marriage, honey.
Well, I want to wait.
Okay. Well, wait. Three weeks.
3 weeks?
Mm-hmm. That's all I'll wait, 3 weeks. I'm gonna start making plans tomorrow.
You just don't give up now, do you?
Not when anything's this important. Will you marry me in 3 weeks?
Yes.
At the ranch?
Fine.
And we can buy our rings tomorrow?
1 o'clock.
It's a date. Oh, honey. Everything's gonna be just fine.
You really believe that, don't you?
Yes, I do. I lost you once, and I'm not gonna let that happen again. Not to anyone or anything. I want us to spend the rest of our lives together. Have children and grandchildren.
Oh, I want that more than anything in the world, you know that.
We'll have it.
I love you so much.
Come on in, Becky.
It's not Becky.
Hi.
I was looking for Ryan Connor.
He's in a meeting right now.
You, aren't his secretary, are you?
No, I'm his fiancée. I'm Ginny Marshall.
Well, Ryan's certainly a very lucky man. It's a great pleasure to meet you. I'm Jim Lawrence.
Hi.
What time do you expect him back?
Well, he should be out of his meeting shortly. If, his secretary, Becky, is out there, maybe she can help you.
No, thank you. I have to speak to Ryan personally.
So, I'll meet you in front of the Panther cage at 4:45. Got that? I'll have the money. You have the passport and the tickets.
I'm not sure I can come up with passports that quickly.
Oh, you'll come up with them. And remember, no funny stuff. I don't want to have any surprises.
Such as?
Such as bringing a gun with you, Parnell. We're going to be out in the open where everyone can see us.
I'll keep that in mind.
You do that. Then everything's going to work out just fine. You'll have the money. We'll have our freedom. Is it a deal?
Sure.
Good. 4:45 in front of the Panther cage. Don't be late.
Did he agree?
Yep.
All right, we've got to call Ryan Connor right now.
Yeah, I know. But hold a minute. I got to figure something out. Okay, there's a refreshment stand that's right across from the Panther cage. Ryan Connor can watch us from there.
But what happens if Mr. Parnell recognizes him?
He won't. He's going to be too busy getting the money from us. Then I'm going to get Parnell to talk about Alex Wheeler.
How are you going to do that?
I don't know, but I'm going to do it. Then you make the tape recording of it. When Parnell goes, we give the tape to Ryan Connor.
Joe, he's going to recognize you.
Yeah, and he's going to call the police. That's why we got to have the car ready, and we got to get on our way before Connor gets to a phone.
And what about Mr. Parnell? You think he suspects anything?
No, he was too concerned about getting those passports on time. He knows I'm not going to go to the cops. It's too dangerous. I'd just be turning myself in.
All right, I'm going to call Ryan Connor right now, and I'm going to tell him where Mr. Parnell is going to meet us.
Why don't you wait for Ryan's secretary to come back, and then she can make an appointment for you?
All right, I'll do that. Are you Mike Marshall's daughter?
No, I was Barrett Marshall's wife.
Oh, I see. I knew Mike Marshall very well. He was a fine man, one of the best.
Yes, he was. Oh, excuse me. Ryan Connor's office.
Hi, could I please speak to Mr. Connor?
Gee, I'm sorry he's not in right now. Could I take a message?
No. Do you know when he'll be back?
Oh, I'm really not sure. He's in a meeting.
Well, couldn't you just get him out of his meeting?
I don't think so. His secretary should be back in a Elena? Is that you? This is Ginny. Elena? Hello?
TJ Canfield, this is Dennis Carrington.
What are you doing here?
I'm voting Stryker Bellman's proxy.
You work for Stryker?
Yes, I do.
Excuse me.
Jay?
Did you know this guy was going to be here?
Yes, but he's not going to foul anything up. Don't worry about it.
Look, Ryan hasn't found Johnson, has he?
I very much doubt it.
I don't want any surprises.
I'm not expecting any.
Good. Let's hope you're right. Because if there are any surprises...
You're very nervous, aren't you? Would you mind telling me what your stake is in all of this?
I told you yesterday. It's personal.
Okay. Okay, I just don't want you pulling the rug out from under me. I want this job, Dennis. I want the presidency of the company.
I don't care about the company. Therefore, I don't give a damn about your job. You're welcome to it.
Howdy.
TJ, may I introduce you to Iris Wheeler?
Hello.
Mr. Canfield, I've heard a good deal about you.
All good, I hope.
For the most part. You didn't bother to tell me how attractive Mr. Canfield is. No wonder poor Justin was so upset last night.
He's also a charmer. Be careful.
Don't worry, I will be.
Did you send out invitations to the party?
I promised you, didn't I? I'm planning to do it right after this meeting.
Good, make sure you do. I expect you to keep your end of the bargain.
I'm going to have information this afternoon or tonight that'll prove I didn't kill Alex. Now, it's terribly important for all of us if you can find some way to delay the vote until next week.
I don't believe a word you say.
Well, I'm telling you the truth.
Why don't you just go round up the other board members so we can get on with this meeting?
I'm telling you the
Dennis,
truth.
Darling, would you go outside and tell those other people to come in here? What are you doing here?
Were you cut off?
Yes. I'm afraid it was probably my fault. I'm not very good with those phones.
It happens sometimes. I'm sorry. It sounded like a friend of yours.
Yes. Elena Decker.
Elena Decker. Wasn't her brother killed in an oil well explosion just recently?
Yes, he was.
A terrible tragedy.
Yes.
Well, I suppose I better get going. I'll call Becky and set up an appointment with Ryan.
Okay.
Oh. I sure wish Ryan and you all the best.
Thank you, Mr.
Who answered the phone?
Ginny Marshall. She's the woman that Ryan Connor's going to marry.
What did she say when Ryan was going to get back in the office?
No, she didn't. I suppose I should have asked her, but I was afraid she'd recognize who it was on the phone.
That's all right, Elena. Don't worry. Look, what we should be doing now is finishing that packing.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
We'll check back with Connor a little later, okay?
What happens if we don't reach him before we're supposed to meet Mr. Parnell?
Don't worry. We will.
I'm sorry, Rena. You are not on the board. You are not voting Stryker's proxy, and I want you out of this room.
Not a chance. I'm staying, Iris.
No, you're not.
I will not let Ryan be railroaded out of a job just because Justin Marshall is being allowed to frame him.
We're not going to let that happen. No one is going to railroad Ryan.
Who are you?
T.J. Canfield. I have your daddy's proxy.
Then you give me that proxy and I'll vote.
That wouldn't be legal, Rena. Come on, you know that.
Get her out of here, Mr. Canfield. I want this meeting to start.
She's right. You don't belong here. I want you to leave.
Are you going to tell all these people what Justin has done to Ryan? Are you?
No, I'm not.
I didn't think so. In that case, I will.
Rena.
Hello, Rena. Since you're obviously here to accuse me of all manner of misdeeds, you should have a chance to speak.
Thank you.
Rena, don't.
Oh, I've already checked it out with Iris and Dennis. They're in full agreement. They think you should have a chance to speak.
You're not going to speak. You're going to leave.
Get your hands off me.
Ladies and gentlemen, you all know Rena Decker. She has come here to say a few words on behalf of Ryan Connor.
Rena, please, Rena. TJ and your father have worked out a plan that's going to fall apart if you start making any speeches.
Ryan, someone has got to defend you.
I know, I appreciate what you try to do, but please, let me and TJ handle this. Now, I want you to go back to my office. Ginny's there. Just calm down and have a drink with her and leave the meeting to me, all right?
Is that what you want?
Absolutely.
Well, I can see that Ryan has talked her out of speaking. Well, I can tell you what it was she was going to say.
Come on, Justin, let's get on with the meeting.
She was going to accuse me of framing Ryan, blaming him for the misappropriation of funds here at World Oil, because I wanted his job, because I wanted to take over the company.
I said let's get on with the meeting, Justin.
I can only tell you, gentlemen, that all of this is untrue. She also wanted to accuse me of being responsible for her husband's death. This is also untrue. Max Decker accused me of slap drilling on his property. World Oil did a directional survey which proved that he was wrong about that. But Max Decker couldn't accept the word of World Oil. No, he had to take it into his own hands and blow up the well. An action which cost this company thousands of dollars. And also, very unfortunately, cost Max Decker his life. I have a copy of the directional survey and also a signed statement from a former employee of World Oil which backs up my statement 100%.
Too bad, Alex. Too bad you know so much about our little drug operation. Such a danger. I just can't trust the chance that you might remember. You'll understand, won't you? You won't even know what happened. You'll just go right on sleeping. For a long, long time.
Well, I'm glad to see you're back. I was afraid I was going to have to leave before you got here.
Leave for what?
Joe Foster called while you were out. He wants to give the money back.
What are you talking about, Peter?
Foster wants to make a deal.
What kind of deal?
Well, he returns the money, and I supply him and Elena Decker with phony passports, money, airline tickets to Rio.
Where is this exchange supposed to take place?
Zoo, about a mile from here.
When?
3 or 4 hours. But I'm going to try and get there a little early and do a little scouting around.
Why the zoo?
Well, I guess Foster figured it'd be a safe place.
Safe for whom?
For Joe. Figures I guess I wouldn't try anything in a place like that. But I got a little surprise for him. I'm going to try and work out which direction they'd be coming from. Maybe that way I can take care of them before they even get to the meeting place.
In other words, you're planning to double-cross them?
You bet I am. What? You have any scruples about that?
No, none at all. Especially since that's exactly what they're planning to do to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I call this meeting to order. We have heard some very serious charges against Ryan Connor, president of World Oil. Charges which we will now recap. In summary, Ryan Connor has been accused of misappropriation of funds from World Oil and of subsequently using his position as president to kill the resulting inquiry. He is also accused of forcing Mr. Johnson from accounting to resign his position and leave the company without due cause in order to prevent Mr. Johnson from revealing his knowledge of the cover-up of the misappropriation of funds. Do I hear a motion to dismiss Ryan Connor as president of this company for cause?
I move that Ryan Connor be dismissed from the position of president of this company for cause.
Thank you, Mrs. Wheeler. Do I hear a second?
I second the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Marshall. We will now take a vote. All those in favor?
Came for the board meeting.
You came all the way from Venezuela to this board meeting?
Yes, for all the good it did.
Did Stryker come with you?
No, I wrote him a note and I told him I was chartering a plane to Houston this morning so I could support Ryan. And then they didn't even allow me in the meeting. They kicked me out.
All right, calm down. Justin kick you out?
No, it was Ryan and that TJ. They asked me to leave the meeting. Jenny, I wanted to tell all those people exactly what Justin was doing to Ryan. They wouldn't let me.
Ryan and TJ stopped you?
Yes.
Well, honey, I'm sure they must have had a good reason.
I'd like to hear that one. Because I didn't see anybody else in that meeting defending Ryan.
Well, I'm sure that TJ and Ryan had probably worked out some kind of plan with your father to fix... Ryan, honey, what happened?
Well, they voted me out of office and they voted Justin in. So Justin's the new president of World Oil.
Thanks to you.
What are you talking about?
Oh, doesn't matter now.
The hell it doesn't. He just accused me of making you lose your presidency.
Come on, that's not true.
We had a terrific plan to get the board to hold off voting. We were going to use reason, fairness, cool heads. We had hoped to keep Justin from explaining his side of the story, but your little emotional outburst gave him just the opportunity he needed. Brother, did he take advantage of it? He was so convincing that by the time he was finished, those board members felt so sorry for him, they'd have voted him governor of Texas.
Hey, TJ, come off it now. The whole thing would have happened anyway. All we had was a long shot, right?
I don't think so.
I'm sorry, Ryan. I was just trying to help.
Sure, it's okay.
Your daddy should have kept you in Venezuela with him.
Okay, TJ, that's enough.
I'm going home.
Rita, wait a minute.
The zoo? Yeah, I'll be there.
You sure it was Elena Decker who called Ryan Connor?
Well, that's what Jenny Marshall said. She answered the phone.
So, they were planning to set a little trap for me, were they?
That's what it looks like, doesn't it?
Well, looks like we're going to have to set a little trap of our own.
Join us each weekday at this time for the continuing story of Texas.